Good morning and welcome to our Indigenous Health and Leadership Program 2022 information session with Melanie Rivers. Today's conversation is in partnership with IHALP and the Center for Excellence in Indigenous Health. We'd like to thank First Nations Health Authority for generously funding the UBC Learning Circle, allowing us to have these conversations. Before we formally begin, I'd like to acknowledge with respect and gratitude that we're joining from Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh, and we unceded territories. Please feel free to introduce yourself and the nation you're calling in from in the chat box. Today's Learning Circle will be exploring Indigenous Health Leadership and Program, IHALP, 2022 information session. And I'll ask our panelists to introduce themselves in just a few moments. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Serene Squawkin. I'm the new Learning Circle Manager. I'll be your moderator for today's discussion. Joining us today, working behind the scenes, is Cynthia Lung, our production coordinator. She'll be joining us in the background, interacting with everyone in the chat. And finally, before we get into today's discussion, I will just provide a gentle heads up that topics covered may be sensitive or emotionally triggering. Please make sure that you are looking after yourself, and if at any point you feel that you need to talk to a friend, elder, counselor, or family member, don't hesitate to do so. We have some prompts in the chat for you if you need any additional support. Now I'll turn it over to Elder Victor to do the opening prayer.
Pata chair, but the tamoka on a shiwena tan away, see ya. I on a squalla win quant equot nala tan away. It's in Yathastala, who Christochs and tan yais, who temet to misteo, who me startles them to hopwish to slacken. I tætsa with the mistake, see ya. It's an italum, mistalum at Thomastal. Can away, see ya. Dear friends and relatives, as you've heard, my English name is Victor Guerin. My ancestral name is Quitlalum. You're gathered this morning on our ancestral territory, and it gives me a good feeling in my heart to see all of you here. See ya. I'd like to start things off this morning with a song of greeting. It's a song that came to me when walking here in our territory in the woods and listening to the voices of our animal brethren and birds that share our territory with us, share our home with us. see Speedson Aquastum to Hanupton Serene see. Thank you, dear friends and relatives. I'd like to turn the floor back to Serene.
Lim Victor, thank you so much. We'll now introduce our panelists. I'll hand it off to Melanie Rivers. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I have a good feeling in my heart. Thank you, Victor, for starting us off in a good way this morning and acknowledging these ancestral lands that we're all calling in from, and starting us off with a beautiful greeting. Also loving seeing all the introductions in the chat box and where everyone's calling in from. My name is Melanie Rivers. I'm from the Squamish First Nation. My ancestral name is Tieltawit. That's my great-great-great-grandmother's name. And I'm calling in from my home community, Squamish First Nation. And I work at the Center for Excellence in Indigenous Health. Work on this program, the Indigenous Health Administration and Leadership Program, both on kind of the back end part of the program, but I'm also one of the instructors in the program as well. And I also develop other Indigenous curriculum and taught an Indigenous Health undergraduate class in this last year. So I'm really excited to be here today to share this information session about the Indigenous Health Administration and Leadership Program. It's a long title, so we call it IHALP for short. And we are just finishing up a cohort of over 30 students that spent the last year learning virtually through this pandemic, and getting ready to start a new cohort coming up for this coming year. So we're going to share about the program. We've got some of the staff here on the team, and we've got our peer mentor, Sonia, and we've got Carrie here, who's currently in the program, that will share a little bit about her experience in the program. So I'll introduce everyone, and then I'm going to share a PowerPoint and go through what the program is and who it's for and how to apply, and then we'll have Sonia and Carrie share, and then we'll have some Q&A. So that's what our session's going to look like, and I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so the team here today, we've got Karen. Maybe Karen, if you'd like to pop off mute and say a few words as our partner. We partner with the center, or partner with the extended learning team to deliver this program. It's been running since 2003. And so Karen.
Hi, everyone. I'm Karen. Lovely to be here, and thank you, Elder Victor, for the welcome to Musqueam land. I'm here on the traditional territory of the Musqueam people here at UBC. So I'm extended learning. I work with career and professional programs like this one. So learners like yourself wanting to transition to something new or wanting to strengthen the skills to do what you do already. So delighted to be here. Thank you, Melanie.
And I'll just ask Cynthia, Tam, and Emily just to wave. They are, Cynthia will be one of your main contacts if you have information about the program, and Emily supports the curriculum and the program in general. So they may also answer some questions today. And then we've got Sonia here, and she's going to share a little bit more later about her role as a peer mentor in the program. And then Carrie, maybe if you just want to wave, I'll introduce Carrie a little more as we get through. So, oops. So this program, so the main goal that this education, so it's a certificate program, is to promote the health and wellness of Indigenous people. And so that's in our communities, in our organizations, on reserve, off reserve, People join the program mostly from British Columbia, but also from other areas. We have an Inuit nurse in the program this year. And we do have people that have joined from other provinces. The program is rooted in the core values of resiliency, culture, and Indigenous perspectives. And that's really important that we have that basis for the program. So, and I think resiliency has certainly been shown by our students this past year, going through during the pandemic. Learning can be a place of hope, a place of growth, and it can be a nourishing place to build our careers and our education, but certainly challenging as well through this pandemic. So I'm just gonna, figure out how to advance my slides. So the program is proudly delivered in partnership with the Center for Excellence in Indigenous Health. So that's where I work. We're a small center that has a number of great programs, such as the Learning Circle that we're on today. We have a summer science program. We're recruiting students right now for the summer to learn more about being in Indigenous education or in Indigenous or in health careers. And we've also got the Indigenous Institute, Public Health Institute, which is another education program that people might be interested in. And this partnership is a very strong one, and we've been partnering since 2003. So that is, partnerships evolve over time, and it's really, really amazing to have this this strong partnership that has supported this program for so long. So this program is designed to build and enhance your knowledge of health administration, so you can confidently design, lead, and deliver holistic health and wellness programming. So Indigenous organizations and communities. So people join, as I said, from on and off reserve organizations and communities. And some have been working in Indigenous health work for many years, 5, 10, 20 years that come to the program. And some are new. They might have been doing something working in a different area and interested to move into working in health. This pandemic has really highlighted how important our health is and how important it is to have people with the skills to work in our communities to support health and wellness. So there's that really beautiful mix of learners in the program that some with a lot of years of experience and some that are newer and kind of bring that fresh perspective. And there's lots of sharing across the students. Okay, so centered on Indigenous approaches and traditional teachings. And I think this is also really important to highlight. So we have had Elder Jerry Ullman, if any of you know Elder Jerry Ullman, come into the program each course and provide some teachings and support to the students through their learning journey. We sit in circle. When we're in person, we actually get to sit in a physical circle and share that way. When we're virtual, obviously we can't sit in a circle, but there's opportunity to share as if we were in circle. Most of the instructors are Indigenous. If they're not Indigenous, they've been working in Indigenous communities for many, 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 many years. And Indigenous values are at the core of the curriculum and the programming. So, it's how to deliver Indigenous health programs based on values of the community that you're working with. And then I think what's also important about centering around our Indigenous approaches and traditional teachings is how our people come together when there are challenges, such as people experiencing grief or illness. We had a whole wave of COVID go through, and so we make our way through and support each other through that. When people are dealing with things in their own lives and community. Just as, you know, our communities are very strong coming together in that way. So we build a culturally safe and supportive learning environment. So some people might feel a little nervous about coming to an academic program, or when we're holding in-person classes, coming to the UBC campus. And I understand that feeling or that nervousness as well. When I went to do a new education program at UBC, I had all kinds of thoughts about, oh, I don't know how to write very well, or I'm not going to do well in the program. And I think it's natural to kind of have those fears. And that can sometimes hold us back from starting a program. But I think what's beautiful about this program is that 98% of the learners are Indigenous. So this is designed for Indigenous learners. There are some non-Indigenous learners, but only people that have been working or living in Indigenous communities for many years. So it's not a program for someone that doesn't know anything about Indigenous people and wants to learn. There's other programs for that, but this is a safe space held for Indigenous learners. And then most of the instructors are Indigenous, as I said. So here's our peer mentor, Sonia. She's going to share a bit at the end as well. So this is the first year we've offered this support in the program. So someone that Sonia went through, I guess 2 or so years ago, just before the pandemic, went through the IHALP program, which used to be called, actually I should have mentioned that, it used to be called the Aboriginal Health Administration. And I can't remember the full title now. ACAP used to be the acronym we used for it. So we changed the title of the program this past year to reflect the terms that are being used in communities. So using Indigenous now. So Sonia is there to kind of cheerlead and support students if they're feeling struggling along the way, or just to check in. And because we've run the program through a virtual format in this last year, we've had Tea with Sonia, a Zoom time prior to class that people, it's optional, that people can drop in and just connect with her and get some support if needed. So one of the biggest reported things that we hear from people that have gone through the program is building their connections and lifelong relationships with each other and the instructors. It's been a little bit harder running a fully virtual program in this last year due to COVID, because people haven't had the chance to be in person. This coming year, we do hope to, COVID pending, as long as the COVID numbers and health orders allow us to, we will have 2 of the courses in person and 3 of the courses virtual. So there'll be a bit of a mix, and that opportunity to come together and be together, because that is really where the rich learning is. The lessons learned from people that are working in the field, and support for each other. So sometimes if you're working in your own community, it can be hard to reach out to others in the community for support. But if you know someone in another community that's doing a similar kind of work, that can be some good peer support, and that can help with burnout, which can be a challenge doing this kind of work in community. People working in Indigenous health often are very dedicated, working with limited resources, and really that support is so important to build. So as I said, program taught primarily by Indigenous instructors, so that are working in health or and have experience in that area. So so we've have someone teach the leadership program that has a master's in leadership, teaching it through Indigenous lens and approaches as well. And then the program format is designed to be flexible to allow people to continue working and have family commitments. It's we understand that some of our participants are working full time, and sometimes there's a crisis in the community or in the family, and we work to be flexible around that, and also support learning to continue as well. So this is what the format will look like for this coming year. So we're taking kind of the best of the way we used to run the program, which used to have in-person, we call them residencies, basically coming down to Vancouver to learn together in person. And then it would have virtual online assignments. And then this past year, we've been fully virtual, and there's blessings in both of those. So when we're able to do it virtually, there's less costs around travel, and people are able to join, if they are feeling a little bit sick, or maybe there's, they're busy, and it's helped people be in the program and stay in the program. So that's important, but we also don't want to miss out on the really important opportunities to be in person and sit in circle together and build those relationships. So we're doing a blended approach for this new cohort, where there'll be every other class will be virtual, and every other class will have in-person residency. So it is a 1-year part-time program. You can see the tuition cost there. And we have an application deadline for April 13th, but we're going to do an early review of applications that come in before that, because there was a really strong interest last year, and we had a lot of applications. So we want to give people the chance to know that they're accepted into the program and start planning. So if you are thinking about the program and want to get your application in before March 10th, we'll be doing an early review, and then we'll be doing a review again on April 13th, or after April 13th. We do have some bursaries available. I'll talk a bit more about that in a moment. And then the first course starts end of May, and then there's a break in the summer, and then the second course starts in September. So people are wondering, is this the right program for me? So it's designed for people with a passion in Indigenous health work. I've been working in Indigenous health for over 20 years, and people certainly are passionate in this field about making a difference in our communities, and doing that in a holistic way that builds on our traditional teachings. So remote, rural, urban settings, and as I said, a mix. Some people with extensive experience in health work, some that are newer, and we have First Nations, Inuit, and Métis students, a few non-Indigenous allies that have had extensive experience working in our communities. And then people, we've got people that have come from Métis health programs, health authorities, friendship centers, organizations in the downtown east side, rural and remote First Nations communities. So there's a real mix of where people are coming from. So this slide overviews kind of the main learning, what people gain from the program. And each of these little bullet points has a whole course to go with it. So communication and leadership skills, the whole sort of fundamentals around human resources and financial management, proposal writing, things like that. How to evaluate Indigenous health programs, develop policies, use relevant research, information management around privacy and confidentiality around the information that's collected from people in the health programs. And then looking at Indigenous health from a holistic lens, from our traditional teachings and perspectives. So that's a broad overview of the entire 5-course program. And oops, I've got a slide that goes through each of the courses, which I won't fully read out. I'll allow people to kind of look at that later, but people also wonder, like, how will this program support my career? And we did a survey recently and asked graduates of the program, and 88% of them said that they either found employment in the health field, or they moved into a more desirable role, or that the program added value to their existing role. So it can enhance people's employability. I think being able to work in Indigenous health effectively with Indigenous people is a very specialized skill set, and it's not, and it's becoming more desirable in the mainstream system as well. There's becoming, more recognition coming for how hard that is to learn how to work well with our people. And then building the relationships and networks to support your work. And then helping people that maybe aren't employed currently in health field to find meaningful employment. So I don't want to read out all of this. This is the 5 courses. So there's the Indigenous Health and Wellness is the first course, setting the kind of foundation around how ceremony, spirituality, and land are connected to wellness. Some people come to the program, they're Indigenous, but they might not have connected with their home nation or community or teachings. And so this can be a way to connect with that. And then some are very strong in their traditional teachings and really add a lot to the class. Communication and leadership. So whether that's in a formal leadership role, like a health manager or director, or it could be working as a coordinator, whatever type of role someone's in, communication is really important, and so is building leadership skills. Sometimes it's the person working in the kitchen that is a leader in the community, and we have these people in our communities that others look to, and they may not be in formal leadership roles. So this doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be in a formal leadership role, but it's building those leadership skills. And built on Indigenous values and perspectives. So what does it mean to be a leader as an Indigenous person? Then this course is all the fundamentals, the nitty-gritty around HR, how to hire people, how to write proposals, how to do budgets. For some people, this is the really fun stuff. For some people, it's not as much fun. It all depends on what interests you. I know one of the students this year loved the policy part. There's so there's, we all have different interests and strengths and skills. There's a course on evaluation, research, and policy. How do things like the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, how could you leverage that to get funding? Or if you're developing a policy within your organization, how to do that. And again, based on community needs and values. And then the last course, this course is shorter, and it's on information management, looking at data and privacy, confidentiality on data that a health program might collect about their members. So now I feel like I've been talking for a long time, but I'm just going to wrap up these slides, and then I'm going to pass it over to Sonia and Carrie. And I'll also look at the questions after as well. So what education experience do you need to apply to the program? So this, again, we have such a variety. Some students don't have their grade 12, but they have some equivalent experience. Some have diplomas, some have bachelors, some have masters. It's, again, there's that real beauty of that cross experience. And so you do need internet access to participate in the virtual courses, and experience in Indigenous health programming. Although if you are new to it or wanting to make that career change, potential to do well in that area, and willingness to contribute to group discussions, because again, that's where the real learning happens, and again, in a safe learning environment. So the course schedule alternates between virtual and in person. We have a nice classroom on Vancouver campus where we have a set of chairs that we leave in a circle, so we can, start and end in circle, and then, come together at tables. There's weekly readings, and some of them are videos rather than readings, and the residencies, the in-person residencies, are Thursday to Saturday, and the virtual sessions are held on Friday. So some people, their employer has given them time to attend on the Fridays. The virtual sessions are 2.5 hours on Friday morning. And then there's assignments and online discussions for each course. And we've really worked to make that a manageable amount of assignments for people that are leading busy lives. So after as well, Cynthia is going to walk us through how to actually go in and apply for the program. So there is a formal admissions procedure, and applications are accepted up to 4 weeks in advance of the program if there's space, and encouraging people to apply early to get a place in the program because there are limited spots. We did have really high number of applications last year. Oops, did I miss one? And then we do have some bursaries available. So most people are able to find some funding through their nation or their employer or other sources. And for those that are struggling to find that, we do have some limited bursary funds available. And those applications are due on the same date as the applications to the program. So there's the link to learn more and find the application form. And we will walk through that in a moment as well. So I'm going to stop sharing there. So I want to pass it now on to Sonia to share a bit from her experience. Could be from being in the program, because she did get the opportunity to do the in-person part of the program, but also in her role as peer mentor, how she might be using the program in her work. Sonia works at actually just down the block from me in this Accommodations Health Center. So I'm going to pass it over to Sonia now.
Thank you, Melanie. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the time and opportunity to share with you this morning. My name is Sonia Lapka. I come from the Squamish Nation, and I currently work for my local health department in Yotswe, and that means taking care of each other. And I attended the program in 2019, and I found the information to be very beneficial, both at work and in my personal life. I enjoyed the different perspectives on how others viewed both from past and current experiences in the program. So when you come together with other students in your groups, you'll learn and gain a rich wisdom and knowledge from different perspectives. So I found that really, really interesting. I gained a lot of tools from my toolbox, both with facilitating team meetings, and it was more structured when I found when I was working with the team. I work, like I said, in health with the healthcare aid team. They're all out in the field, so we were able to deliver just with more structure. So I found the program really helped me as a supervisor help my team. I gathered a lot of information when I was working with the team, so we were able to help also build policies to better fit community members and our workers. So again, the program just helped me structure my job with more with better deliverables for the team. So, and then we just, this is my first time, I guess, being a peer mentor. I mean, I'm a mother, I have kids. I guess you kind of mentor your kids, but it's different when you're mentoring people you're not familiar with. And I personally am not a computer savvy, but I have picked up a few tools there too. So I found in my role as a peer mentor, I was able to support and encourage and offer suggestions and some of my knowledge just based on the past when I took the course. And I was able to help with like for those that were struggling with an idea and how to help them flow in their paper or their assignment. Based, of course, on the instructor's guidance. I communicate often with the instructors, and if a student isn't able to find, because an instructor can get pretty busy, so sometimes I'm that go-to, for the most part, I'm that go-to person, because I try to be available most days for that support if you need me to communicate with the instructor. Other areas that I can support is motivation, emotional support. There was a lot of people during COVID and just a lot of family stuff going on that I was able to help a few just for more emotional support. I'm not a counselor, but again, I know what it's like to raise teenagers. So, I really enjoyed being that support for a lot of people. And I can also be available outside of the tea time, which is also new. We just found that I think some people just wanted that extra time to chat. So on Fridays from 9:15 to 9:45, and quite often we go over because we get into some really good discussions, and it's just been more of Carrie's been in there a few times, and if anything, I think it goes both ways. So I'm supportive, they're supportive. So it's just, we really just pulled off of each other during COVID. It can be really, it was stressful for everyone. So again, I'm available between 9:15, 9:45 Fridays before class. And then I can also be available outside of that for a quick chat, outside of the scheduled tea time with me. And I'll just say this last little thing, that the goal as a peer mentor is to help students improve their skills and hopefully advance in your careers and also in your everyday life. So again, I thank everyone for the opportunity to share and be a help. That's what I've put on this earth for, is to help.
Wojcika, thank you, Sonia. Really appreciate you sharing. She's such a valuable part of the program. So I'll pass it over now to Carrie. And so Carrie's just finishing up the program. There's just actually a couple more classes left, and this year's cohort will be done. She's Nakazli and working, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to pronounce the community, Binche Watan. And so she's working as a IHALP director. So I'm going to pass it over to Carrie now.
Hari Kupandara Hunzu. Good morning, and I'd like to welcome you all to this wonderful presentation today. My name is, my spirit name is Dayan, which means a strong, brave woman. And so I'm very honored to be here today and to talk on behalf of the IHALP program. I am from Nakazi-Watan, and my clan is the Lasiliu clan. I am calling in from Nakazi for today, but I work for an organization for Binche-Watan, and in their health manager now for over a year. When I got employed by Binche, they gave me the opportunity to have an education. And so I grabbed the opportunity right away. And I was really, really excited because they gave me the opportunity to be at work and still be employed and to be educated through this program. And so please excuse my voice. I'm just getting over a cold. But anyways, what the program had given me was the balance and the strength and the courage to take the course on and to sorry, excuse me. I don't know if you can hear that noise. It's my cat running. But anyways, so I became a certified health director now, and it just gave me the confidence to do that when I graduated from this course. And all of the fundamentals and everything that we've learned through the program is designed just to be that health lead, and to take on that opportunity. If you have the compassion and the strength to endure wellness throughout your communities that you're working for, this is the program for you. I've really got a lot out of it, and there is some things that I did learn that just gave me an insight more, because not only do you learn from your peers, which is an excellent opportunity, because when you see into the program and then you're reading other students' write-ups and their reports, and it's just wonderful to see. You just get a brighter insight about programming and how to develop it, or look at a different eye view of developing something else, you know. And so it's a really nice program, and it just gave me the confidence to be a health leader. And I really like this program. It also gives you times and work-life balance, because it's of course, you know, being at home and working from home too, and reading your assignments, you have to have that balance of your family and making sure that they support you, and you know, and have time to do your homework and so forth. And that was the nice thing about, you know, family life and work life too, because work gave me on the Fridays, the whole morning sessions to be at work and still continuing my education. And I think that's about all I have to say, but I really am grateful for it. And thank you for IHALP for giving me the opportunity again. And it was a wonderful experience. Masi.
Thank you, Carrie. Really appreciate you taking the time today to share what your experience has been like in the program, and for all that you brought to all the class discussions. So really appreciate you being here. So I do see some questions coming here. I don't know, Cynthia, if you want to read them out to me, or if
I have the questions here.
oh, you got them, sorry. Okay.
Yeah. So I have a question. At some point, can you please address the participation in the course as a settler? Rephrased. Can non-Indigenous people join this program?
Okay, yeah, thanks for that question. So as I said, majority are Indigenous learners, probably about 95% of the class. But we do accept people into the program that have been working in Indigenous communities or living in Indigenous communities that aren't Indigenous. And so we do accept applications that way. But it's not necessary. It's not a program for someone that doesn't know anything about Indigenous people, and this is sort of their first introduction, because our main goal is to create a safe learning space for Indigenous people and to not sort of have to catch people up on that piece. So I hope that answers your question. If it doesn't, please add some more into the question there.
Next question. Are there online classes synchronized or recorded for those who have a full-time job / program?
So they are synchronized. So they're so the courses that are virtual are on Friday mornings for 2.5 hours. And so synchronized because one of the main parts of the learning happens from connecting with each other and learning from each other. So it's not like a pre-recorded video that you watch and then on your own time. It's Zoom time together where the instructor will go over some content and have facilitate discussions, sometimes small group breakout rooms. So it is synchronized. If someone is sick and they can't make it, we do have a process for makeup assignments. But people do really need to set aside the time for the synchronized virtual sessions. So the virtual sessions are Friday mornings, and courses are varying lengths from three sessions to 8 weeks. And then there's also online assignments with each course. So for the in-person part of the program, so there'll be 2 courses in person for this coming year. People come down to the Vancouver campus and spend Thursday, Friday, Saturday together, where we do kind of all the learning all at once, and then people go home and work on their assignments from home. So that's how the difference between the alternating between the virtual and the in-person. And this will be the first time we'll try out how that goes. And I think I saw a question about can they do virtual only? I don't think we're quite there yet in terms of being able to have people in the room and people virtual. So it will be part of the program to come down in person for 2 of the courses. There's a third option to come down for the graduation ceremony, which we do in the UBC Longhouse. It's beautiful, beautiful space. Okay. Serene, any questions?
Yep, we have a few more. Someone's curious about the Fridays. Are they mandatory classes? And if so, how often?
So yes, mandatory part of the program, the synchronized part. And so each course is a different length of time. Roughly each course is about 5 to 6 weeks. So 5 to 6 Fridays. But one of our courses is only three weeks, and one of the courses is 8 weeks. So the fundamentals of health administration, it has a lot to cover, so it's a little bit of a longer course. And then the information management course is 3 weeks.
Next question. Once completed, does the program give a recognized certificate?
Yeah, so it's a UBC certificate for the Indigenous Health Administration and Leadership Program. It's currently the program, it doesn't provide academic credits, but it is a recognized UBC certificate.
How often time commitment is it expected per week?
So Carrie might be able to answer this one better too. So there's the class time, and then there's the assignments. This past cohort, we actually reduced the number of assignments to make it really manageable within people's work and life. And so each course roughly has 3 assignments that cover the content of that course. And then there's roughly about 2 to 3 readings, or it might be a video or a podcast to listen to for that week. And then there's optional readings as well. People want to dive a little deeper into the content. And I'd say people probably vary in terms of the amount of time that they spend working on their assignments. And assignments are roughly about 500 words. And there is an option as well to submit your assignment over a video recording, which actually as an instructor was lovely to get some video recordings and hear people's experience with the assignment. And the assignments are really meant to be applied. So how can it apply to your current work, making it useful? It's really about supporting people's learning journey and how it's going to be relevant to their work and to their community. So that's where the emphasis is on. Grades can get a little distracting, and it's really more about the learning that happens. I don't know, Carrie, did you want to add anything there?
Sure. Okay. So I know like a lot of the learning process, as Aboriginal people, well, I know I'm just speaking on behalf of myself, but I think when we're learning and progressing, I'm a lot of us are visual learners, and so or sometimes it's just a task of reading is a lot, right? So but with some of the programs, there is a large amount of reading that you have to attain, but another ones are just short little paragraphs and things. And so, but I mean, it's the effort that you put in, right? And of course, most of the essays or the reports that you have to do for your write-up is about 500 words. And so for me, I usually had to I had a book. So I wrote my report in, so a rough draft, and then I would kind of reword it as I'm printing it out onto my good copy. So it does take time for sure, but I mean, as long as you're attentive in the program, don't miss a class, because mass amount of your grade is just being in the presence of those days to attend class and to engage, so it's home free from there. I was really feeling comfortable after a while, after the first course went by, because I was really feared for myself, because I was thinking, great, I'm not a fantastic writer, but it just kind of flowed, and I expressed what my concerns were and how I felt about wellness and health. And so, and what I've experienced of my own life experience, and so I think that is the greatest value that you can put into your reports. And I got some good grades out of it, and so I kind of hope that helps. I don't know exactly how many hours that I did put in there, probably around 15 hours, I would say, per essay that I had to do, I guess, and the readings. And so, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. Really appreciate you sharing your experience with that. And the instructors are available to support people if they are struggling with their assignments or have questions about it, as well as Sonia is our peer mentor. Again, it's really the focus on being, are people learning what the concepts are and how they might be relevant to their work. All right, is there another question, Serene?
Yep, we have a few more. Are the courses transferable to a graduate program at UBC?
Not at the moment, but we are exploring that. And I think, there's some more openness coming at the university for these types of things. We're looking at some different pathways that we might be able to create.
Next question. Is the previous experience in an Indigenous health care program or facility or experience in working in an Indigenous community mandatory?
So if someone has not worked in Indigenous health work before, maybe they've been working in a different kind of career, but they're interested in moving into Indigenous health work, then yes, they don't have to have that experience. There might be some applicable cross experience. Maybe they've worked in an Indigenous community in another capacity, or they really have show the potential to do well in that area.
We have just 3 more questions. Are accommodations available at UBC for on-campus dates?
Typically, actually, maybe I'll ask Cynthia Tam to answer this one as well. And we are also, after the question, is going to show the application form itself on screen so people can look at that. There are some available campus or some places on campus that people could stay. Maybe Cynthia, because I started in this role during the pandemic, so it hasn't been a one that I've been involved with. So Cynthia, do you want to come off mute and share about that?
Yeah, so before the pandemic, yes, definitely there are many accommodation options at UBC for the in-person sessions. So yeah, we'll be able to send you all the information before these in-person sessions. There are places like the West Coast Suites and Triumph House and other places that you can stay right on campus there.
Thank you.
And this is a pretty detailed question. So detail read question joining as a settler. Yes, I understand the importance of having prior knowledge of issues and learning through Indigenous perspective. I'm wondering about not feeling like an imposter by acquiring Indigenous knowledge and values.
Well, that's a beautiful question because, being aware of our positions in the world and how we connect, that is a part of building cultural safety. So really appreciate the question. It's more, so if someone's coming into the program and they're not Indigenous, they are, maybe they've been working with Indigenous people for a while. It's more about how, as an ally, we don't dive into it that deeply in this course because most of the people are Indigenous, but the goal is to build effective Indigenous health programs that meet the needs of Indigenous people. So if someone is an ally working in an Indigenous organization, and I've worked in many organizations with Indigenous allies, and you still need to know the same, acquire some of the same skills and knowledge in order to effectively deliver those types of programs. But always important to understand the relationship with those teachings, and when it's important to bring in Indigenous people to share on those teachings versus be the person as the ally. So it is a really important thing to build and grow if people are working within an Indigenous organization and that they are allies. So I'm not sure if that fully answered. I think it's just the fact that you're asking the question shows awareness, and that's really important. So thank you.
Just two more questions. Can you leverage this certificate into the Indigenous Public Health Program?
So not at the moment. And I see Rhonda Carrier is on with us today as well. And she supports the Indigenous Public Health Institute that our center runs as well. And it is a program, a graduate certificate program that people can go through for credit or not for credit. It has a different model in terms of timing. It's not, people can come apply per course. And so maybe, Cynthia's always on it. So there's the link to the Indigenous Public Health Training Institute in the chat box there. So it's another program to look at if you're interested in building more skills around Indigenous public health. That one has different criteria to enter into it because it is a graduate level certificate. And then Rhonda's added some information there. So twice yearly institutes, and their institutes run for a week. And you don't need a degree to enter into that program. Okay, is there anything else?
One more question.
Yeah.
How many weekends would you be in Vancouver?
So there'd be 2 of the courses will have the in-person residencies, and then the last, and then the graduation will also have an in-person option to come down for, and a community immersion experience, getting to come and maybe visit another Indigenous health program. So 3.
That's all the questions. Thank you so much, Melanie.
Thank you. And if I wasn't clear in any of my answers, please add in the question again. And I'll turn it over to Cynthia now, though, to share the screen and show exactly how people can apply. And then if there's any other questions, we'll answer them after that.
Thank you, Melanie. Hi, everyone. I'm Cynthia Tam. I'm a senior program assistant at UBC Extended Learning. I support the administrative side of the program. So if you have any questions about applying to the program, admission requirements, or funding opportunities, you can contact me by phone or email. I'll just put in the email in the chat here. And so I'll share my screen to show you the application form. Okay, so you just go onto our website here. And the first thing that you have to do is create a UBC Extended Learning account. So you'll see that here. If you don't have an account, you create a new one by clicking on this link. Once you create your account, just fill in the required fields. So that includes personal information, educational background, and work experience. Okay, the next step is to upload your resume. If you have any trouble with this step, you can always email your resume as an attachment to ihelp.exl@ubc.ca. Okay, and then you'll be required to type or copy and paste your letter of intent in this text box here. So it's just about 300 to 500 words, explaining your interests and program expectations and what you expect to achieve by completing the IHALP program. And then you'll be asked to describe your support systems to help ensure your success in the program. And we also require you to list 3 references in this text box here. And that's about it. When you're finished completing the required fields, just click on review and continue. You'll get to review the information that you've entered, and then you can click submit. So as Melanie mentioned, the application deadline is April 13th, but if you submit your application by March 10th, it will be eligible for consideration in the early review process. Any applications received after after March 10th will be reviewed in mid-April. So the sooner you apply, the sooner you'll hear about your application status, and the more time you'll get to secure funding.
Great, thank you, Cynthia. Just adding the link to the application page, and there's also the bursary applications on that page as well, so you can find the forms there. So any other questions come in?
Yes, just a second. Sorry, my computer was being delayed. What are the perspectives for the next year? Is it possible that the program will be open again? I'm asking because I knew about the program and got very excited to apply, but I'm pregnant, so maybe next year would be a better shot.
Yeah. So yeah, the program runs every year. I guess we'll see how the pandemic goes in terms of the format of the program. But yeah, the program will be running the following year if that's better timing.
And then one last question. How long does it take for the acceptance letter?
So we have fairly fast turnaround after that April 13th deadline to let people know, and we'll be able to let some people know before the early application review as well, so that people can start planning their lives, because the program is starting end of May there. So it's fairly fast. We work as quickly as we can. We've got application review committee, and so we've got we'll be reviewing them kind of all at once and letting folks know after that.
That is all the questions.
Maybe that wasn't specific enough, but at least within a week of the final application date.
Thank you, Melanie. I don't think we have any more questions. So thank you for joining the UBC Learning Circle event today. Did you enjoy the event? Be sure to sign up for the UBC Learning Circle mailing list and look out for our next webinar coming up. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. And yeah, if you do have questions, please email them in. The slides from today will also be available on the Learning Circle website and our IHALP website. Yeah, we'll look forward to seeing people's applications coming in. If you know a friend or community member that might be interested as well, please let them know. And the video from today will also be available afterwards if you have anyone that you want to share it with. So thank you. Really appreciate everyone joining from all over, and for all of your questions. Hope I was able to answer them.
Thank you.
Hey,